The first thing I want to say is that we are still very early in our investigation. So what I'm about to share with you today, it could change a little bit as the day goes on. I'm going to begin by what the victim, the sexual assault victim, told us. Yesterday evening at about 5:20 p.m., we received a call down Douglas Ferry Road area of Washington County. It's the extreme west side of our county. A lady in distress. She was still naked. So ambulances were sent and deputies with the Washington County Sheriff's Office. When we got to her, this is what she told us. David Gibson showed up at her house and knocked on the door. He stated, "Your husband and brother-in-law are thieves and owe me money, and I'm here to take it." The victim stated at this time he started taking items from her house, and she began to argue with him. He then attacked her, knocking her to the ground, and handcuffed her, and during the scuffle, removed her clothing. The victim stated that while she was lying on the floor, handcuffed and naked, he began attacking her mother-in-law. He struck the mother-in-law several times in and about the head. The victim stated the last time she saw her mother-in-law that her mother-in-law's eyes were swollen shut and there was blood all over her face. The victim went on to tell us that he grabbed her and drug her out of the house into a vehicle where he duct taped her mouth. He drove her then to his house. He put a gun to her head and he forced her to have sexual intercourse, telling her that he would kill her. After the intercourse, the subject drug her to a shed and put her in a, it's kind of like an oversized toolbox, if you will. She was naked, still handcuffed, and duct taped still around her mouth. He put a rope around her neck and tucked her legs up underneath her. If you can picture what hog tying looks like, that's what he did to her. She stated she got very hot and thought she was going to suffocate and die. This again was in a shed behind the house where he placed her. So at that time he left the shed. Several hours went by and she eventually was able to get her legs bound out from underneath her body and kicked plywood and other debris that he had put on top of this box to keep her in the box. She was able to kick that off. She got out of the shed and then ran for her life, run through a wooded area. I think she told us at one time she got a little ways away from the house and used a tree. Remember that she's handcuffed behind her back. Used a tree to get the duct tape off her mouth. At that time, she made her way to the edge of a roadway in this area where a passerby seen her. And he stopped, picked her up, and immediately called 911. When our ambulances and deputies arrived, she was still handcuffed and still had duct tape around her neck and in her hair. We believe at this time that this lasted throughout most of the night, Sunday night. The car that they left in is a 2001 PT Cruiser that belonged to the actual homeowner, who is Miss Letty Cooper Collins. She's 74 years old. So you got to remember, we didn't catch this case till late yesterday evening. We go to Miss Collins' house, where we find her deceased in the bed. Again, she's 74 years old. I looked at Miss Collins' body, and I can tell you, obviously it'll be pending what the medical examiner tells us the cause of death was, but she was beat to a pulp. So now, we're looking, and we have been, for David Earl Gibson. He's still not been caught by our agency yet. He's not been apprehended. FDLE was contacted and started processing the crime scene, 2 crime scenes, at about 10:30 last night. And as we stand here this morning, they're still down there processing the 2 crime scenes. We have active felony warrants for David Earl Gibson right now of sexual battery, aggravated battery, and false imprisonment. We're confident that today we will be seeking murder charges on Gibson. David Earl Gibson has got approximately 33 felony charges. His arrest began in 1999, and I think ended with a stint in our county jail here in Washington County back in March of this year. He's been charged with burglaries, armed burglaries, drug possessions, arson, and he's been to prison, from what we can gather, 8 different times in his adult life. He's done prison sentences 8 different times. Again, what he did, he went in and sexually assaulted this lady, and as she said, beat her mother-in-law while she was there. He left that house in the mother-in-law's car. But he also took many items out of the house, multiple items out of the house, and placed those in the car. So our deputies, investigators, we caught this case, like I said, a little after 5 o'clock, 5:20 yesterday evening, and they're still there. We've been assisted in this investigation by our Washington County EMS partners, our state attorney's office, the medical examiner's office, FDLE, the Florida Highway Patrol, the Holmes County Sheriff's Office, the United States Marshal Service, Jackson County Sheriff's Office, and if I didn't mention, Holmes County Sheriff's Office, and several agencies in Alabama. And I can tell you, we've worked around the clock. We'll continue to to work around the clock until we put handcuffs on this scumbag and bring him up here to answer for what he's done. That's my commitment. Again, like I told you a while ago, we're still very, very early. Some of this could change. But basically, that's what he's done. I read you several sentences of what the victim told us. We've got a multitude of evidence that backs her story up, to include the box that he kept her in, to include his handcuffs and duct tape. I'll do my best to answer any questions that I can.
Do you know if Gibson knew the victim or her mother-in-law?
They do know one another.
Do you have reason to believe he's still in Washington County right now?
I think he is, but hey, in these situations, you know, you never really know. I will say we've got 3 different dog teams in this county. We've got helicopters, several members of the Washington County Sheriff's Office. We just put 20 men in this county with the U.S. Marshal Service. And again, to include deputies from Holmes County, Jackson County. I think the guys told me this morning that we probably had 15 or 20 highway patrol officers. We're looking for this car. Maybe this is the car. This is not Miss Collins' car, but it's very similar to what we're looking for. We're starting to receive several tips this morning, so that's what we're doing today. We're running down leads. We've probably been called at least a half a dozen times pretty early this morning, and every one of those calls, we're going to every one of those houses.
You said that, correct me if I'm wrong on these details, that 33 felonies and his most recent release or his most recent charge was in March of this year?
Yeah, his most recent release, he done a stint in the Washington County Jail in March of this year. So right now, that's about where it ends. You know what I'm saying? It started in '99, been to prison 8 different times, and ended with a jail sentence in our county, you know, just this year in March.
Was he out on probation, or do we have any of those details?
Not that I don't think he's on probation right now.
The sexual assault victim, what is her current condition?
She's going to be okay. If we can, I don't know, that's an awful loose way to say that, I guess. You know, for what this lady just went through, she's going to survive. But, you know, obviously we're working that, and, you know, and what he did to the mother-in-law, and she did make it. She's no longer with us.
You said this car is very similar to the one. Is it the same color as this one?
Same color. Well, I say the same color. They told us, you know, a purple, and we've got all that information. That matches up with what we're showing you on the screen right now. That tag number on that car is QUER21. QUER21 is the tag number on the car.
Of those previous charges, were most of them here in Washington County, or was this all over?
Some Holmes County stuff, Bonifay Police Department, majority probably Washington County. Yeah, an extensive criminal history.
Were you personally familiar with the suspect?
I remembered him when they called me yesterday evening and gave me the name. The name rung a bell. I can tell you what I am familiar with is the Collins family. I know them people.
Are you able to tell us any of the items that he stole from the house as well?
Not at this time.
Were any of his previous charges violent in the
the same nature that this one was?
Burglary and armed burglary.
What is the age of the sexual assault victim?
You know, I didn't bring that in here with me, Maggie. I don't have that. A lot younger.
That's all for me.
I have a viewer asking, why that the, murder was disclosed instead of letting it come out. They don't understand that part.
Well, what I need them to understand is we never went home. And we try to pick up a strategy, what we think may be the best strategy. We cut the warrants. We woke up our attorneys. We had our judges awake with us last night to sign the necessary paperwork to bring this guy into custody. And like I said a while ago, that was to get the warrants done as fast as we can. And again, we're still processing 2 crime scenes. They've never left. Our crime scene techs and our investigators from 10:30 last night, well, it's 10:35 now, is still processing the scene. And as I said, we're confident that those charges will come later today on the murder part of this.
Was he currently residing in Washington? Or
Yes, he's a Washington County resident.